Your grace and beloved brother in Christ, Bishop Maxime, the spiritual father of this beloved diocese, with your blessings and your brotherly love, I find myself again at a banquet of the Serbian people. Because the Serbs are like the Greeks. We like to gather to eat and to drink a little bit, to have good music, to dance, and to celebrate life. And like the Greeks, the Serbs always gather with their father, the bishop, and with the priest. Because in the history of my people and your people, but really our people, because we're all Balkan people, there was always the bishop, the priest, and the families. And that is what held our people together even during 400 years of Turkish Ottoman occupation. No one could destroy our church, our languages, our cultures, and our identities. In Greece, during the time of the Turkish occupation, we had the Krifos Scholio, the secret school. And there the children would go, especially at night, to go sit at the feet of the priests and the monks, to learn how to read and write Greek, and to learn the traditions of our people to keep us alive as a nation. And you as Serbs have suffered as much as we have. But now we are free. But freedom is a very dangerous thing. Because I also think that the Serbs are like the Greeks. When you have two Greeks, you have 5 opinions. And maybe the Serbs are not as bad, but surely when there are 2 Serbs, there must be 3 opinions. Because I know best. I know what is right. But as a professor and an instructor, really only one person can be right. And first and foremost, that is God. Amen. And God, by His grace, gave us the church in this world to bind us and hold us together as people. We as communities, whether Romanians, Ukrainians, Serbs, Greeks, Russians, whatever, we gather as people to celebrate and to hold our identity and to safeguard it. We do what's said in the ancient books of the Hebrew Scriptures. God told us to teach our ways and our customs, our practices to our children. This morning after the liturgy, Your Grace, there was a family that came to cut their kolač. And it is always a blessing for me to cut the kolač and to be with the Serbian family for the slava. Because sadly we Greeks don't have this practice. You've been blessed in a special way. But through the slava celebration, you recall your past and your identity, your relationship to Christ and the church. And you pass this on from one generation to another. Father to son. Of course, we should not be unjust and say that the women also should have their rights. You don't necessarily have to give up your slava, as I told Father Nick, because his protenica slava is Saints Cosmas and Damian. I remember that from her brother when he was in theological school. And the family needs to incorporate everything into its life to bring joy and happiness. You're fortunate in this parish now to have a new priest. Do you know that there is a shortage of priests in the United States? There are Orthodox parishes that have no priests. In Greece, there is a shortage of priests. Some priests in the more difficult rural areas, on Holy Saturday evening preparing for Pascha, go to one village at 8 o'clock to announce the resurrection, the next village at 9, one at 10, one at 11, and the last one at midnight, where he'll celebrate the liturgy. So the first thing is that the parents here must encourage your children to become priests. If you are to survive as a people, and if we are to survive as people, we need priests. Even in this country, we need priests. Because the priests hold our communities together. We're not always obedient, and we have to admit that. That's why I always hold the parish assembly in the church. Never in a hall. Never in a community center. And someone said, how can you hold the parish assembly in the church? We're the people of God. And there is no coffee. There are no cigarettes. No shrivo. No cussing. And no noise in the church. We finish the business of the community in 15 minutes. And everybody walks away happy, I hope. But then we are human beings and we're not always happy. And in the church, of course, we're going to have our issues and our differences. But in the church, they must always be put aside. I often lecture the Serbs because I'm an outsider, but I love you. And Bishop Maxim knows that very well. Bishop Irine Dobrijevic is like my brother. And I lecture the Serbs because here in this country, you brought the problems of the old world. We as Greeks, when we had a division between the royalists and Eleftherios, Venizelos, our communities divided. And in every city, like Chicago, Boston, New York, we built 2 parishes, and the people divided. And sadly, you did not learn from our lesson. You had the division in your church, which is now in the past. And the Serbs are reunited, and you must be. Don't you have enough problems in Kosovo and Metohija?
America.
Aren't you threatened in other places? What you need to do is stand united. For united we stand, divided we fall. And you must be united first and foremost for the salvation of your souls and your families. For wherever Christ is present, there is love. There is harmony. There is unity. There is above all love and God's grace. Wherever evil is present, there are divisions. There are problems. There is arrogance. There is pride. And you must, as a community, as I said earlier, teach your children everything that you learned from your forefathers that was true and good. There was a group in the United States, I don't know if any of you have ever heard of them, musicians a long time ago, called Crosby, Still, Nash, and Young, brother and Father Nick. You remember them. And they sang a beautiful song called Teach Your Children Well. And you must teach your children well and teach them good things and the right things. You must teach them first and foremost how to be good Orthodox Christians and be the flock of Jesus Christ. You must teach them to be both good American citizens and good people of Serbian heritage. To be good Serbian Americans. You must teach your children values. Don't think that they're going to learn them in school. Don't wait for the school to teach your children values in life. The school should teach your children how to read, how to write, how to add and subtract. You teach your children to pray at home, and they'll pray at school. You teach your children to speak Serbian, and they will retain the language. I am third generation Greek American, and I speak excellent Greek. But the parents must make the sacrifices, and the parents must be the example to the children. Here in this community now with your new priest, you have the opportunity to grow, to bring people closer to God, and to embrace everything the church has preserved for you for more than 400 years. Look at the pictures which are here on your walls. They are of ethnic heroes and religious heroes. Look at the coat of arms of the Serbian people. In the center is a cross. And it is only through the cross that we become victorious. No worldly power will save anyone. Only the cross of Jesus Christ, which requires sacrifice and humility and love. You might say to me, why are you telling us all of these things? It's because I care about you. We Orthodox in the United States are only a handful. And Christians are being persecuted these days. In Kosovo, in Africa, in Asia, and the United States. And Christianity will survive only if we stand up for it. And as I told you, we are all only one family. We are brothers. You are all of our children. And when you come into the church, you come out of love and obedience to worship the way the church has given you and the way the church has instructed you. Did you ever see the movies about Indiana Jones? Several. There are some good ones, some not so good. But there is that one about the Holy Grail, the cup from which Christ drank at the Last Supper. And in going to get it, Indiana Jones and his father must answer 3 questions because there are traps that are set for them. And the first one has to do with the penitent man, the man of humility. And as he's about to go in, he understands that a man of humility and who is a penitent kneels and humbles himself before God. And then a blade comes across. If he had been arrogant and proud, he would have lost his head. In your lives as Christians, in your lives as people of this community and this parish, always be humble and bow your head and your neck before Christ. I want to remind you, as for my people, the church saved our nation. When we were occupied by the Turks for more than 400 years, a bishop of the church was the first to raise the flag of independence and liberty. The church saved our nation as a people. And when you needed to be saved as a people, God gave you of blessed memory the holy man Pavle to be your patriarch and to unite the Serbian people and to lead you into a new era, because he was humble, short of stature, but a giant in humility, short according to the ways of man, but tall in the eyes of God because of his virtuous life. And he showed to the Serbs and to the world that only the truth of Christ would lead us into freedom. When the bombs from America were dropping, Father didn't leave the city. He stayed as a shepherd in a flock because the bishop unites his people and he holds them together in unity and love. In the same way, we ask you, our children, in all of our communities, in all of our parishes, always remain united in love and humility. I pray that God will bless Father Kovacevic with years and days. Father Stevo, in a more colloquial way, I believe. May He give him strength and patience. You must have a lot of patience. Someone needs to tell him that so he understands clearly. Because people are difficult. But I'm going to tell you something that Father Ephraim of the mountain, the holy mountain, who's established the monasteries in America, told me. Forgive the people. Always forgive them. We need sometimes to keep them in line like a good shepherd with a stick. But we always forgive them. Just like your own bishop forgives you. And I forgive my own flock. And even my students at the university. I'd like to share a very brief story because I want to tell you about what I do and how much I love some of my students. But I can also humble them in some ways. I had a Serbian student from Boston who came to me and brought me his paper. And he said, "Your Eminence, how did I do?" And after I had read and studied his paper, I said, "Well, I can't grade you on your grammar and your English language, because if I could, I would give you a 0. So he was shocked and he said, "Oh, but you said you can't." I said, "No, I can't. But if I were to grade you on your theology and your ability to use academic text and things like that, I would give you a D." And I said a D and a 0 average out to an F. He was again in shock. He said, "But you should be merciful." And I said, "God is merciful. I'm not." But in our mission as bishops and as pastors, we do try to be merciful. Because God is merciful Himself. And we overlook the sins of the people as we ask that they overlook our own sins. And we invite you to come to the church, to the Ark of Salvation. Don't be a good Serb just to celebrate your Slava. Be a good Serbian Orthodox Christian. That's much more important. To live in the church, to know the church, to let your children grow up in the church, so that they also will become good Serbian Orthodox Christians and good citizens wherever they shall live. And you will be obedient to your priest, and he will be obedient to his bishop. And together as the family of God, we will grow and move forward from this kingdom into the kingdom of heaven. May God bless you all and strengthen you. I apologize, I don't speak Serbian. I understand a little bit because I speak Russian. But, oh, мы можем говорить по-русски. Вы понимаете? Now at the end you told me it's too late. But no matter what language we speak, if we speak God's language of love, we're one family. And we are indeed one family because we're Orthodox together. We celebrate the liturgy together. And we are also Balkans. Greeks, Serbs, our music is the same. We eat the same foods. We drink the same drinks. We dance the same way. And now we find ourselves in this country and we must remain as a family together to grow and grow in Jesus Christ in our relationship with one another. Thank you very much. May God keep you well. And the next time I come to your parish, I want to see double the amount of people. You say, where will we find them? Go out and bring the lost of the house of Israel. Bring the people back to the church. Bring your people here to teach them and to guide them that here is where we shall be as a family and as a community. And let the children come and see not arguments and divisions, but unity as one family, so that we can eat and drink and dance and celebrate together, especially the liturgy, and in God's glory and His love and light. Thank you.